Okay, cool. I'm so happy to see all of you virtually here. And I want to introduce myself first. My name is Morchin. I'm a community manager and digital fashion designer here. And we are going to talk about digital fashion today. And a lot of you wearing a beautiful top, I can see, and we're all into fashion for sure. And I want to start our conversation with a brief introduction across the room and share a little bit of how you did get into Web3 and digital fashion.
Yeah, I can start. I'm Mikhail. I'm co-founder of Linkdrop, and I'm more into technical stuff and more into Web3 than in digital fashion. So I'm gonna cover more technical side of things during this session. Yeah, and happy to meet everyone here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to catch up with Mikhail right now. So we've met with Regina from Artisan in Berlin on NFT Berlin, and we talked a lot about digital fashion and actually our technology that we're doing in Linkdrop. It helps to somehow bridge the world of Web2 fashion, of like IRL fashion and digital fashion with NFTs. So we're working on some tech that gives possibility to claim items, NFTs, and build marketing campaigns for fashion brands. And so these days we're really interested in getting more insights, getting more information from people related to fashion directly, from fashion brands, on how we can develop our tech and make it more useful for brands. So I guess that's one of the reasons we're here today, trying to get more info and share how we could help and maybe give some more information for potential future marketing.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Siegel. I'm co-founder of MAVION and The Accessory Junkie. And I have a background in tech and in fashion. I've been involved in tech and fashion since the 90s. And so in my Web2 company, we were curating scarcity fashion accessories from independent and emerging designers around the world. And I've always wanted to scale scarcity and have had this desire to really innovate in fashion. So in March of this year, so the Mavion has been 4 years in the making. It's a fashion NFT company that we launched in March, and we launched a 5,000 Genesis collection. And so I'm really excited to be able to talk about, fashion in Web3 today. We're working on a collaboration with Rebecca Minkoff right now that's going to be a two-part launch that's launching this Thursday.
Wow, cool.
Awesome. Hi, my name is Sarah Justo. I work as a producer for a company called AWW. You can see on my screen, it's pronounced AW. Coming in from Tokyo, our whole team is in Tokyo. What we do is we create unforeseen IPs, meaning we first created a virtual human called Ima. You can search her on Instagram called imma.gram. She's basically like a hyper-realistic virtual human. Some people don't even know she's virtual. And yeah, so we create our own IPs, and now we're moving on. We've done a lot of physical fashion with this virtual model, Ima, and now we're moving on to a lot of virtual fashion where she's actually the designer. The virtual human is the designer. And she's creating all of these virtual fashion inspired by all these Japanese anime, manga, games, everything that, Eastern fashion that we don't really see in the virtual fashion industry right now. So yeah, excited to talk.
Yeah, so happy to see you all today. I'm Regina, founder and CEO at ARTISANT. ARTISANT is digital fashion platform. It's a creative hub. We're doing some wearable drops, and we have marketplace where designers can mint and sell their artworks. We have nice, beautiful community, and we're doing digital fashion. Right now we're working on pixel art, Ready Player Me drop, and we're so interested in wearables, and we're building Artisant as ecosystem project. Yeah.
Amazing. We have the speakers coming from different backgrounds. That's amazing. And I guess my first question is that the digital fashion has constantly evolving for the past few years. And what are the latest insights in this market? Maybe you can share with us. This question is for everyone.
Oops. Can you repeat, please?
So digital fashion is constantly evolving for the past few years, right? And then what are the latest insights? What are digital fashion going to be shortly? I mean, this year, next year, maybe we can have some insights shared with our audience.
I just look at we are just beginning, just starting with what our digital identities are. So I think there's like exponential growth when it comes to, our digital identities. And I think the exciting thing about digital fashion and fashion in general in Web3 is that it's really about self-expression. It doesn't have to be in any specific form. You can really express yourself in any way, whether it is you want to represent yourself artistically as a cube, or if you want to have a physical body. I think, we have just, we're just beginning this. So, this morning, took 15 minutes to put on some makeup to come to this. But in our digital lives, just think about, you could be putting on makeup every minute. It could animate. You could have fashion accessories that have superpowers. So I think, there's so much. I also think there's so much flexibility, but I think the really amazing thing is to be able to support creators and artists and designers in a way that have never been supported. And I think in Web3 through blockchain technology, it also protects their designs. So I think it's just a really exciting future.
Yeah, I want to also share an angle from physical, like a combination of physical products, items, and digital items, and what we seen with Nick that some of our customers has shared some insights with us, and we've seen interesting approaches here that this new technology, blockchain technology, allows to for new monetization models, and especially in the fashion industry, where you can, for example, if you merge together NFTs and physical items themselves, like garments, then you can have another way of monetizing your business. Instead of selling garments up front and getting all revenues from the first sale, you can monetize resales, like royalties. For example, we have seen with NFTs that it's a new monetization model for creators, and this can be also the new monetization model in the fashion industry as well. So I'm excited to see new companies that can explore these opportunities.
I'm so glad, Mikhail, that you brought that. This is Mavion's business model. The NFT collection that we launched, there's one accessory from an independent designer from around the world. So as an NFT holder, you not only will get the physical piece, but you will also, the designers, there's 16 designers, 88 individual accessories in a 5,000 collection represented by designers in 9 different countries. And those individual pieces, you will get the physical piece, but the designers will also be getting royalties based on the sales and trades and secondary market. In addition, I think the monetary models in Web3 are also amazing in that we give royalties to our NFT holders for all of their gaming, metaverse fashion, and commercial partnerships. So turning those physical accessories also into skins, and that's something that our NFT holders get as well. So I think it's really amazing, where fashion can go and the possibilities through this blockchain technology.
I would also add a few words here. Yeah, because we talked with one of our clients, and there are these ideas in the fashion world when, an example, you have a garment, and it's just a single piece that you need, and you got expansion packs for this garment. I don't know, like hoods for bad weather and stuff like that. And to buy these expansion packs, you should be a member, so you should own a membership NFT. And actually, that you have the garment piece and you have the NFT, and so your clothing is only valid if you have both, like a digital item and a physical item. An example, if you just resale a physical item, you cannot go to the store and you cannot buy expansion packs, and so it makes no sense for you to own just a physical item. So, and that solves some kind of issue of how to check validity of your digital possessions. And as Mikhail said, it brings a lot of new utility and a lot of potential marketing campaigns that could be done with this bridging of physical and digital.
Also, I feel like it's fascinating that NFT in fashion is that a company could use NFT as a way to figure out which kind of pieces or what's their community really like, and then they can then mass produce that particular most voted piece into a physical production. I think that's something really interesting to see in the future. I think it's definitely more of a sustainable approach towards fashion. The physical fashion world has the biggest problem is the waste, right? So with this kind of technology, with this kind of community-driven fashion brands, it's definitely more sustainable for sure. And this space is amazing. There are so many directions you can go for in the digital fashion. For example, you have Web2 digital fashion, which is try on photos. I know that you did a collaboration. Emma did a collaboration with extended reality, right? So that's really fascinating for me to see. You collaborating with other brands and creating the buzz in the space, and also Web3 fashion marketplace like selling NFTs and perhaps digital items we were talking about earlier, and fashion avatars. What inspires you or interests you the most, and why? Which area interests you the most?
Well, yeah, I guess thank you for that introduction with Extended Identity. Yeah, Extended Identity is a fashion brand based in London, and they make really cool virtual fashion. We did an LGBTQ plus themed exhibition with them in NFT New York 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago. And that was really fun where, in the exhibition space, you can actually try on with the AR technology. You can see a screen, you can go on it, you can try on the virtual fashion. You can see Ema try on the virtual fashion as well. What excites me the most, I think, is just the basis. I think Andrea touched up on a little bit about identities. I think, when you think about identities and what defines who you are, I think there's so many things in the physical world, right? I think clothes is number one thing that everyone on this earth has to express themselves. And when you think about yourself on the digital space, you can take pictures of your physical self and that's representational, but you don't really have a definite identity in the web space, I think, at the moment. But when, the metaverse has more technology going on and we have avatars and we have clothes for them, I think that is almost like your twin in a digital world, where right now we're just physical bodies touching these technology, but you can finally kind of find your place and be who you are in that space outside of your physical self. And what that allows us to do is there's so many limits, I guess, limits to this physical body and fashion, right? There's gravity, there is shape, that I can't be a piece of toast, for example. But literally, like, one of the exhibition pieces for our New York NFT was a unicorn thing, right? So like anything is possible is really true for the web space. And we've did that with our virtual humans. I think we can do that with virtual fashion, where we can create fashion that expresses who we truly are in a limitless expression form. And that really excites me.
And Regina, I think Artisan is more focused on Web3, right? We're building a marketplace. Could you tell us a little bit more why building the marketplace is such an important idea for you? I think you're on mute, Regina.
Thank you for question. I love artisan. I love digital fashion. What else? I think, yeah. It was question about insights. About technology insights. It was last question about technologies and everything. I moved to this space because of in Web3 I can give ownership for digital fashion creators and for digital fashion collectors. It's so important because in Web3 it's unbelievable how to give real ownership. Web3 it's cool technology for it, and I think it's nice to build art community based on one platform. We're building ARTISANT as a hub where designers can create, where designers can meet, speak each other, and we give lessons, ARTISANT master classes, and yes, excites and technologies. We have lots of ideas how we can build wearables and how we can build how we can produce digital fashion for our community. For example, we already have in digital fashion space AR technologies. We work with avatars. We in touch with Linkdrop, and we know how it's important to give to build to create digitals and to give ability to own, to have digital garments with physical items, and maybe these digital items can be wearable in the metaverse. It's like next level. I think phygital, it's like phygitals, it's like a bridge between Web 2 and Web 3, because like pure Web3 technologies, it's must be difficult for all people. It's easier to give utility, like 3D utility, metaverse utility for your physical T-shirt. It will be next level, I think. Waiting for it, and yes, it's important to build marketplace, and it's important to build interesting drops, wearables, and I can't find the one direction right now because I'm artsy person and I'm interested in all directions. It's how I can explain it.
I'm glad we're talking about metaverse fashion. I think this is more technical questions for you guys. What do you think about the metaverse worlds right now, like Decentraland and Sandbox and all that? And is that the form of final form of the metaverse, or what do you think in the next 5 to 10 years? Are we actually gonna be just like the movie Ready Player One? Are we actually gonna be something like that, where our digital fashion in a really realistic metaverse world?
I think we can start working with Meta and give like maybe 47% of our drops to Meta. I think it's maybe a good idea just for start.
What do you think, Michal?
I think that it's very hard to say like how metaverse will be in 5 to 10 years, and I think that this will be nothing what we can imagine right now. So it will be something entirely different. And in a way, for me personally, metaverse is already here in terms of how like Web3 allows new interactions between different community members. So it's kind of a new medium. It's not like only the virtual reality stuff. It's also like the shared, I don't know, consensus layer, something that different community members can align with, using just blockchain technology, NFTs themselves, and of course virtual reality as well. But it's very hard to tell like how it will look like. I think it will be like something more community based. I think that community will play an important role there, and excited to learn other perspectives on that topic.
I think.
Sorry,
sorry. I was just going to say, where the metaverse is today, I think it's really clunky, and it's not as dynamic. I think there's so much that's going to be happening within the metaverse. I also look at fashion and how it's going to play within the metaverse. I think that, who knows? I think, some of these businesses haven't even been built that we're going to be seeing in the metaverse. But I do believe that fashion, you will be able to wear across many different platforms. And, when you think about like a skin that's attached to an NFT that gives you access to meet up with your community, in a metaverse, I think you're going to be able to, it's going to be a much more intricate way of living our digital lives. And that I think is really exciting to, I'm not the one that's going to be building that, but I really envision what it could be like and, what I would want it to look like. And I definitely think that there's going to be a lot more flexibility than there is today as well. And I think the main thing is just to be able to have these self-expressions like Sarah and I have been talking about, to be able to have this digital identity that can go across platforms. So, and be able to access different fashion and carry that with you in, throughout your digital life.
Yeah, also like adding to what Sarah has said before, that you already had your avatars before, like with the introduction of social networks, people starting to invent not their real names, but some how they want them to be named, and they would like express themselves with the 2D avatars, like in images or pictures they would set as an avatar. And now with the rise of metaverse and NFTs, people more and more, they put something like more feasible, like a 3D object or some wearable in the metaverse, and it makes all that more feasible. So you can actually meet some other person in a sandbox, an example, right, or in the central land, and there you could see what he's wearing. You can talk to this person. I feel it's a really good example how Australian Open did that. So they had a big event and they released NFTs. And also, if you were an owner of the NFT, they would drop you some expansion packs, and these packs were actually metaverse wearables, so all this fan stuff. And I experienced it myself. I would just put these wearables on, go to the Decentraland venue, and they had a really big venue there where you could actually watch the championship there on the screens inside the metaverse, which was completely like incredible for me. It's like you're in a game with other real people, especially in these times where, with the COVID virus, and people are more likely to attend virtual meetings and virtual spaces. They are more used to that right now, and I think that should influence a lot onto the wearables. And the second thought I wanted to share really quick is that clothing, it shows a lot of status. Like, so some luxury brands, people buy them to show that they have really like money, that they can afford these things. And like an example, expensive watches, stuff like that. It doesn't really cost that much to produce, but it shows that you have enough, you have an ability to purchase the brand. And these days with NFTs, people do the same. They put their possessions, such as an example, Bored Ape Yacht Club items, as avatars, showing for the community where they interact, where they communicate, showing their status. And so when other people see that, they take them the same as if you like, in the old world, if you see a person with a really expensive watches out there on the street or riding an expensive car, and new generations probably they don't need that real world items, and they would prefer these virtual items to show their status in the world. And I think that means a lot in communication between people. Maybe that will change, but it's still this way.
I have one more question before we get into the final version of a metaverse world. There are a lot of physical fashion brand actually started to step into the metaverse, step into the Web3, like Gucci, Balenciaga. They all slowly, adapting this kind of digital fashion into their collections. So my question is, what are the best application or utilities for this traditional fashion brand to actually they should adopt? A lot of fashion brands, they are actually using Web3 and digital fashion as a marketing strategy, but they are not really, really helping to build this kind of world. I don't know if you have the same idea like me. What's your opinion on this? Maybe I can start with
I can chime in. In our experience, like these large traditional brands, they are in the experimentation phase right now. So they don't have like exact numbers, like what budget they need to allocate and how much revenue they need to get from these initiatives. They just experimenting and trying to get foot into this new space. And also, I think that NFTs could be very potentially a good means for creating community and building community also for traditional brands as well. And I think that community is very important in the future for marketing. So I mean, this community is future marketing, and NFT can play a crucial role in that.
Yeah, I when I think about fashion brands moving into from Web 2 to Web 3, something's critical that you only build once is your community, and it is so important in Web 3. I speak with so many different fashion brands, and specifically within Coty, and in educating them on how to move and what the fundamentals are. And I think it's almost like, so MAVION, part of our mission has been to educate and bring more women and non-binary people into Web3. And so as part of that process, we have 72% of our NFT holders are first-time NFT holders. And building that community took a lot of education, but we have such a strong community that believes in what it is that we're building, the future of, the founders and things like that. So I think your community is everything. It can be the thing that can bring you into the future, or it's something that can bring you down. There's a lot of NFT projects that, are having to clean up their communities right now because they minted out, within a day and weren't strategically thinking about, who their community should be or they want it to be. So I think that's a really important point that Mikhail brought up, that I think is the first step into moving from Web 2 to Web 3. And also, and knowing who your audience and your community is. I think the other exciting thing is that, you see there's very few collaborations that have happened with fashion brands. Literally it's, Gucci and World of Women, Gucci and Murakami, I'd say MAVION and Rebecca Minkoff launching on Thursday. There's a handful of brands and collaborations. But what is exciting about it is that they're partnering with, look at Murakami and Gucci, for example. Murakami has a 5,000, NFT holder community. So it's really not about the quantity. Whereas in Web 2, it's about, hundreds of thousands followers and consumers, and it's really more about, you know, building this really loyal and supportive community that believes in what it is that you're going to be building, and it's going to be sustainable within that community. So I think that's a really exciting thing that I'm also seeing in Web3, is that in Web2 they would have never partnered with someone like that. You know, so I think I think we're only going to be seeing a lot more of that in ways that fashion brands will be coming into Web3, is through collaborations with utility, and have benefits beyond the physical. I think that's also critical. So outside of your community, having a clear, you know, benefit to your community that's going to make their real lives better. You know, I think attaching just a physical product to an NFT, you know, it has to be so much more than this, to build the success of a long-term partnership.
For sure, I agree with the partnership part a lot as well. With our virtual human and like the designers we do, we know a lot of physical brands. We have really good, you know, ties with them, and you know, they're all, I guess, in a sense, you know, still brainstorming and kind of testing out all of these things. And we're really excited to partner up and create, you know, kind of like extravagant fashion with them, you know, as with a virtual fashion, being a designer, for example. And I think another part about that is, I think that in the future would be more open, in a sense that I think it's going to be more creator based, in a sense that it's not going to be, for example, you know, Gucci makes sneakers, it sells out. I think it's going to be Gucci opens up or sells the patterns or the color palette to whatever, and then the creators can create from that, you know, using different patterns and color palettes from all these different brands and creating something new. I think that's what the Web3 is all about. And I think, you know, all of these ready-mades or all of these, like, you know, just, I think it's just going to be more open towards the creators, and we want to do something with that. And that, of course, comes with community or being decentralized. So I'm really excited for all of these new fashions that's going to come from that.
I think.
Wait, can I just say I made a mistake earlier. I meant to say Artifact and Murakami, not Gucci and Murakami. Gucci partnered with World of Women.
I love, Sarah, you mentioned about collaboration and co-creating. I think in this space, Fabricant is doing a really good job. So they are launching this kind of different seasons that allowing their community to co-create with their onboard designers and textile designers. It's such a fascinating thing to think. And also, I've heard Oliver actually told me that the key difference between Web2 and Web3 is that Web2, you have followers, right? You have followers, you produce something and they buy it. That's pretty much it. You don't get feedback from them. But compared with Web3, you have a community. And when you have a community, they want you to win. They want to support you. You hear feedback from them, and you know, you co-creating together, you grow together. I think that's what made Web3 fashion so fascinating to me personally. And yeah, do you have any favorite traditional or digital fashion brand designers? And if you like them, why do they stand out?
I guess I can start. Recently, I went to New York for the NFT in New York, and there, one of our really good friends, the brand is Ambush, and our really good friends, designer there called Verbal, released this like 3D printed shoe. And when you think 3D printed, you know, there's been a lot of creations with it, but this shoe, to make a shoe out of it, and the shoe needs to accommodate your, you know, your body weight. It has to be comfortable, it has to be soft and everything. And they were partnering up with this brand called Zellerfield, which is a brand in Germany. And, you know, they were like, you know, researching on all of these like 3D scanning materials and all of that, 3D printing. And I saw that shoe, and like it was really cool being in a room. I was in a reception, and like everyone was wearing these like, you know, neon orange 3D printed shoes. So I think that's something really cool that brands can already do in the physical world that connects digital data to physical items, which I think, you know, virtual fashion is essentially virtual, but it will have physical counterparts, I think, or pop-up events, for example, just physical venues. So I think connecting physical and virtual in a sense that, because I think there's a lot of energy still in the physical world that's not existing in the digital world. So connecting that with design and community, I think that was really a wonderful experience for me back in New York.
Another question. Go for it.
Okay, thank you. I also got a small take on like the physics of like blockchain here. Is that you own your the question of ownership. You own your blockchain account and you own your trace. And if you just use your like a single wallet, which I think you should because it's like your main identity, then all your decisions or the actions you take, transactions, they are recorded. And with this data, brands can personalize approach to you, not only in terms of marketing, but in terms of I don't know, some maybe customizations of garments they can provide you. And then it's really cool that we didn't have that before with the Web2 data collecting companies, because they would all collect it within their own databases. And on blockchain, it's publicly available, and you can take all the data, analyze it, and try to make some like new approach you never had before. So it also makes sense for me in terms of customizations and I know yet 3D printing of some garment that will be really designed just for you.
One more question for you, Sarah. So what's the future of a meta-human? Like Emma, what's the future with her? Is she going to create her own merch? Is she going to be like in the physical events? What? I'm fascinating to know.
Right. So I think overall, since we started 3 years ago, there's been so many virtual humans popping up everywhere. But I think the age of virtual humans is still at its baby step. It's still beginning, because I think right now with Ima, we do a lot of commercials. So it's like she's moving, she has her own TikTok and everything, but it's still not real-time communication, as in like, you know, live streams like this or, you know, TikTok lives, for example. But we are right now almost really close to launching this technology where she moves in real time in that quality of, you know, keeping that hyper realisticness, which isn't easy to do in real-time rendering. So when that's possible, we can do, as I said, Instagram lives, TikTok lives, and she can literally talk to you real time. And that will allow so much for us. I think, you know, so far it's been a lot of picture communication, but when you're actually moving, you actually become that person in real time. So the future, to put it shortly, I see for all of us is that we will all become virtual humans. We will all become Ima, because Ima essentially, you know, she's this virtual being that is this fantasy character, right? I think we're all going to have that, whether that, and I think the future is going to be we can choose what kind of brands of avatars we want. You know, maybe I want like a Nintendo looking, like cute, simpler version, or maybe I want a super hyper realistic version. Maybe I want both for, you know, some days not. And when that happens, there's going to be a lot of brands of virtual humans. And you know, I think our brand, our brand, from there, we want to put a lot of our skills in producing and storytelling. I think technology is going to be normalized. You know, we do create hyper-realistic virtual humans. I do think they are the highest quality in the world right now, but I think technology will normalize, and that's not going to be a selling point at all. And we don't see that as a selling point. We see the storytelling, we see the producing of the virtual humans to be a selling point. So yeah, I just see a world where we can all customize a super realistic virtual human. And what that allows us to do, and I'm really, really excited for this, is because if we can look like anyone we want to, for example, if a psychologist talks about mental health, but not in his or her format, but maybe looking like a BTS character, you know, BTS human, for example, wouldn't that reach more audiences, right? like, just imagine you can look like anybody, and then imagine your voice being amplified by that, outer experience. And that's what happened with Ima. Like, our company, we have so many things we want to say, and we say it through her because she's the one that stands out. So I see a really peaceful world in that sense, where we can all just let go and just be whoever we want to be. Yeah.
It's so amazing.
I love that. I have been following Ima for the past 3 years, and I'm such a huge fan. I think that one day you'll see, hopefully, Mavion and Ima collaborate together, and wearing some of Mavion's fashion. But yeah, I think it's really incredible when we think about metahumans. But Ima was one of the original, one of the OGs.
I think I have a question for you, Andrea. So I was curious to know because right now digital fashion are basically in the screen, right? When you're trying to showcase your artwork, showcase your collections, you stay on the screen. What's the future like for fashion shows? Are we actually going to take digital fashion on the catwalk? Is gonna be real-time rendering? What do you see the future of digital fashion in the physical events?
I mean, I think this is where I look to, digital fashion right now. We're looking at it in, I think as far as the metaverse goes, there's I think a lot more that needs to be built out before it becomes this space that's really exciting and dynamic. And but I do see I do see envision, having these avatars. Mavion's collection is 5,000. I really want to build an avatar collection of all 5,000 of those Mavions, and the NFT holders, they can express themselves through their Mavion. I think also there's, and I don't really look at it as limited to a fashion show. I look at that as such a, distant memory of where fashion. I think it should be so much more dynamic than that when we think about activations in fashion, and involving our community. I think is going to be really important to what the future looks like. So when you talk about the fabricant, I also think about Lacoste just launching their NFT, and their benefit is for their community to be a part of the design process. So I think if your community is also involved in the design process, they're ultimately going to also be a part of what it is that you build out as far as in the future for fashion. So I think it's just really, I think the possibilities are really still wide open.
Fantastic. So to wrap up today's session, we have a lot of aspiring designers, digital fashion designers, and young brands in our audience. What advice would you give them to grow their startup, grow their brands?
Oh, I can answer. Yeah. Doing what you want to do, what you like, what you love, and try different technologies. Try everything what you can. Build your brand, build your community, tell your story about you and about your brand, about your vision. It's so important. And build stuff, and step by step you can find your audience, you can find your community and people who will interested in your art, in your ideas. And it's like way you're starting this way, and it might be long way, but it's your way, it's your ideas, and just keep working, keep building.
Yeah, I want to second that, and seeing successful launches of projects and communities and artists I think that it's better to double down on what excites you in the first place and not to copy other success stories. And then in the end, if it's something that excites at least you, then there are other people that are also excited by that idea or that art, and you just need to find them, so keep working.
Yeah, also adding to that, it's like what we've talked before, NFTs, a lot there, just research and development phase right now, so try new ideas. And if you're running like NFT collection, I've seen the best collections that minted the best had some excitement in them, like in terms of how they were minted, how they interact with the user. So it was really fun to do that. And I guess that's the main thing. If it's interesting, to drop on the project, interact with that, and mint some stuff, you probably would be successful, because it entertains you, you like it, it's just cool to do that.
I think advice to would be that be really brave and fearless and innovative, and don't let any boundaries of what you see, similar to what Mikhail was saying, prevent you from building what you want this future to look like. I think that's the amazing thing about blockchain technology too, is that this isn't owned by anyone. This can be built by everyone. And a few things that come to mind, that are critical, I think, in coming into Web3 is one, you can be the first in this space. I think that's really exciting. And it's similar to, I guess, what people call like, it's, and in being, coming first into this space, you want to be able to have a community that is behind you, that believes what you're doing, that sees this long-term success. And so as part of that long-term vision, I think you need to think about, what are your in real life benefits? What are the long-term digital benefits? What is this community that you're building? How is it going to make their lives better? So I think, in building this community and having those and being able to communicate and articulate what those benefits that you'll be bringing to this community and how it's going to better their lives is really important to having this long-term, solid community that is so critical in Web3. And I also think that it's important, just as Web2 brands think of, they look at messaging and branding is so important in Web2. I think it's just as important to understand your audience of who you're talking to. Putting a Burberry coat in a Target wouldn't sell very well. So, because it's the wrong audience. So you really need to understand like who your community is, what it is that you are building, and make sure that your community aligns with, what it is that you want that future to look like. So that would just be some, initial, and I also want to talk to, because this is just so important. There are only, in Web3, 90% of the people in Web3 are men, as far as NFT holders, and 10% are women. Less than 2% are female founders. So I really encourage like every women, non-binary person out there to come in and build code, create, and be a part of or invest in Web3. We need more diversity and inclusivity in this space. I think it's really important to think about those factors when coming into Web3. I also think it's a more sustainable world that we want to build here. But I do think the diversity is so important, because we don't want the future of this to have code that is biased. And I really think, that can be a detriment to everyone building in this space. So finding more gender balance.
Wow, awesome. Thank you for letting me hear all of your opinions. That's really inspiring. I guess I'd add my 2 cents at the very end. I think if I were to give any advice, I think, be to figure out how to amplify your ego. I think your ego is the most important thing. It makes you authentically you. And I think right now, because there's so many tools available, there's so many young creators just posting their artworks on Twitter. You know, like we recently hired a 17-year-old guy who quit high school to join our company, and he creates all these amazing landscapes using Blender, and he's only using it for a year. And I think, so with these tools and opportunities, there's just so many young creators, but how to amplify that from just you posting on Twitter, getting all those likes, to maybe using the community or using NFTs to, you know, open up this space and amplify that ego. I think that's where the next part is going to be. And I think that's where all of these creators will finally, I guess, find their group and find, you know, their voice in that sense. So yeah, I think that's really important to find that they are not alone. And there's so much power in all of us creating together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining this chat. Shall we wrap it up?
Thank you. This has been an amazing panel to be a part of.
Thank you, everyone.
Nice
Thank
meeting
you.
you guys.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, everyone.